The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has finally pulled the plug on the controversial plan for a garden bridge across the Thames, announcing he would not provide the vital financial guarantees needed for construction to begin. In a letter to the Garden Bridge Trust, the charity leading the much-delayed project, Khan said he was taking the decision of a continuing shortfall in fundraising for the scheme and a lack of the necessary land use agreements despite 3 years of talks. The news marks the end to the long-running saga of the bridge's proposed construction, which was championed by Joanna Lumley, Boris Johnson and George Osborne, and drew anger from critics who saw it as a symbolic indulgence. With planning permission expiring in December for the Thomas Heatherwick-designed bridge, intended to run from Temple on the north side of the Thames to the south bank, the timetable appeared impossible, Khan said. The funding gap is now at over £70 million. And it appears unlikely the trust will succeed in raising the private funds required for the project, he said. I am simply not prepared to risk a situation where the taxpayer has to step in and contribute significant additional amounts to ensure the project is completed. Part of the various planning permissions for the bridge include that its future operational and maintenance costs be guaranteed from mayoral funds, if the trust is unable to meet them through its commercial and fundraising activities. While Khan does not have the power to scrap the project, championed by his predecessor as mayor, Boris Johnson, his withdrawal of the public guarantees effectively spells the end for the idea. The proposal for a garden suspended across the Thames, featuring 270 trees and thousands of other plants, was originally devised by Lumley and won support from Johnson and then Chancellor Osborne. Johnson and Osborne committed £60 million of public money to the scheme, with the rest intended to be raised from corporate donations. But amid fierce local opposition and fruitless talks with the housing trust occupying the south side of the project, construction was delayed and costs rose. Khan commissioned Labour MP Margaret Hodge to investigate whether the bridge still represented value, public money. Her damning report, published earlier this month, recommended it be scrapped to avoid wasting any more public funds. What had started as a project estimated to cost £60 million was likely to end up costing more than £200 million, Hodge said, with £37 for M of public funds already spent without any building work having taken place. She also found that the Garden Bridge Trust had lost major donors and secured only £69 million in private pledges, leaving a gap of at least £70 million, with no new pledges obtained since August 2016. In his letter to Lord Davies, the Labour life peer and former government minister who chairs the trust, Khan said this money had been spent before final land agreements had been sealed. It is concerning that a huge amount of effort and expenditure has been expended on other aspects of the project when there is a real possibility agreement will not be reached before the expiry of planning permission, or at all, he wrote. Noting the funding gap found by Hodge, Khan told Davies, pledged funds being lower than 2 years ago strongly suggests support for the project is not robust enough to generate the required funds. The Garden Bridge Trust's accounts show material uncertainty as to whether the trust can properly regard itself as a going concern, the mayor added. He criticized the trust's plan to start construction before all private funds were in place, saying this could leave London with a partially built bridge which would either require completion or demolition at public expense. Saying he had begun in office as a supporter of the project, Khan concluded, "It does not seem reasonable to me to believe that all these obstacles can be overcome." The trust has the option of seeking to amend the various planning permissions to permit work to begin without the public funding guarantees. But this would appear extremely unlikely.